Most, if not all, of the King of the Hill servers have been updated to V15 by now, and the two missing features that were not included in the V15 tests, they were the ability to paradrop a quad bike to your position if you were outside the AO and outside your safe zone, and the 3 customized loadout slots enabling you to quickly switch between loadouts. That's now also been included. And in the future there's going to be additions to the RTS version of the V15 update as well, including fixing some team balancing. But on the official King of the Hill Discord and as well on the Code for Gaming Discord, they've actually released a full list of the patch notes, so I'll go through each item on the list with you. First on the list is the Save Loadout selection menu. Now you can save your loadouts and quickly change between them. That's like when you're choosing your loadout, when you're choosing your guns and stuff, if you look down at the bottom right of the screen there, you see the option for the custom loadouts. Although you have to buy the slots, and it's quite a lot. You have one of the slots unlocked right from the start. To unlock the first one is 50 grand, and to unlock the second one is 100 grand, so yeah, that's actually quite a lot of money. That's not ideal for the newer players or players that are currently struggling with saving up money. Number 2 on the list, there's custom scripted lobby with ability to have 2-sided games and switch teams without going back into the lobby. So basically when you switch teams you go back to the this custom like team selection screen. You don't actually have to like disconnect all the way back to the lobby. And every AO can actually have 2-sided games now instead of 3-sided, no matter the size of the AO and the number of players. There is a map voting system, which I'll talk about in a bit, but when you're voting for the map, you'll see that sometimes there's the option to vote for 2 teams rather than 3 teams on a particular AO. 5 new AOs have been added as well: Surta, Molos, Telos, Laka, and Panachuri. I think I'm pronouncing those correctly. The names are a bit difficult to pronounce in Altis. I believe they're all small AOs. I'm not a fan of the small AO. I mean, it's fine when you've got less people, but if it's a lot of people, you shouldn't really be playing on a small AO in my opinion, but it does happen. But anyway, yes, the voting system I mentioned, at the end of every round you get the chance to vote for the next game. I believe VIP members count as 2 votes. I'm not 100% sure about that. It does not actually say that in the patch notes here, but I did read that somewhere else. I'm not sure if they've kept that or not. You'll notice when you are voting for an AO, it says whether or not there's 2 or 3 teams, and also what the weather's going to be like, whether it be changeable or just sunny. And of course there's the dynamic weather, so these ones with the changeable weather, they can change between rain and cloud and sunshine as far as I'm aware. Next on the list also says map players list shows level and badges. So basically when you press M to look at the map and you click on the list of players, you can see next to the player their level and their badge. Also on the list it mentions lots of server-side rewrites. Gameplay should be smoother with less hiccups. Now that could be all sorts of things, but generally you should see a little bit less sketchiness in King of the Hill, because it is like pushing Arma 3 to the limits when you have so much going on in such a small space in Arma 3 terms. But yeah, it does feel a little bit better. Not sure if that's a placebo effect just because I'm enjoying V15 so much, but it does seem a little bit better. Next on the list it says thousands formatting for money numbers. So that means like when you look at your amount of money you've got on the bottom right of the screen, it's actually spaced the numbers out in groups of 3. Also on the list it says settings option to always take shorter carbine version of weapons. Right, so some of the guns in the game there's shorter versions of them, and generally speaking there's no disadvantage from taking a shorter version of the gun as far as I'm aware. But the advantage, of course, is that it's a little bit easier to maneuver, especially when you're like up against walls, getting ready to like peek over a window ledge or something like that to shoot someone. On the list also says settings option to bypass loadout weight restrictions and get everything you selected but be unable to run. Right, so like at the moment there's a weight limit, and if you try to take stuff that takes you beyond that weight limit, it just will not let you pick those items up. However, it's now changed that so you can pick up whatever items you want, but if you're over the weight limit you won't be able to run at all whatsoever. Machine Gunner perk will now give larger magazines on all weapons if available, because quite a lot of the guns do actually have larger than standard magazines. Like the MX for example does have 100 round magazines, which is pretty good. So if you've got the Machine Gunner perk, no matter what gun you've got, you're going to have the biggest mag available for that gun. It says next on the list here, vehicle deletion timer is now visible on the map for your own vehicles. So if you leave a vehicle somewhere, you'll be able to see how long it's going to be before that actually despawns. It's pretty useful for snipers, because quite often you like quad bike out to somewhere, ditch your quad bike and then eventually, you know, you run out of ammo, you want to go back to the base to get some more ammo, or you want to reposition to somewhere quite far from where you are currently, and your vehicle's despawned. At least this time you'll be able to like keep an eye on your vehicles and go back to it, get in it, get out again, stop it from despawning. Next on the list it says, when outside of an AO or base you can order a quad bike that will be power dropped to you. Yeah, which I already mentioned, which is definitely a nice addition actually, and that's one that was missing from the V15 test. You can end up outside the AO without a vehicle for lots of reasons. Usually it's like if you get in, there's other enemies and vehicles and you get into sort of like a fight with these guys outside of the AO, you know, because you've seen each other in vehicles and you both get out to shoot at each other. Sometimes your vehicle can be destroyed and you can get caught out in the middle of nowhere. Also, you can accidentally parachute out of helicopters and planes a bit too early and end up in the middle of nowhere as well. Next on the list it says, chat decluttering should be less likely to have your messages flushed by useless information. So that's like in the bottom left where all the information comes up about like people joining the servers and stuff like that. Your chat's there as well, you know, all the like the text chat. So there'll be less of a spam of information coming up in that text, especially now that the kill feed is, now we've got a proper kill feed as well. So that's pretty cool. The text section of the screen will actually be a bit more usable. That's definitely a good touch. Next on the list, money perk instead of discount perk gives a plus 10% money reward and retains discount perk features of 50% of weapon purchased again cost. Right, so basically like you don't have the discount perk anymore. You got the money perk instead. But the money perk will still give you 50% off when you whenever you're paying to buy a weapon. But you'll actually get plus 10% money at all times when you're earning money, so that's actually works out better for the people that are lower level, people that are trying to save up money for big weapons and stuff. Next on the list, new badges, some earnable, some VIP only, some secret. Right, so there's going to be lots of new badges added, you know, that's like the little symbol that comes up next to your name. Link's APDS now has camo variants. Definitely a nice, useful addition there for the people that use Link's APDS, which is by far the best Links, of course. Also on the list, Black PO7 from 2.0 update. So the PO7 is a pistol, so I'm guessing now that you could not use the black version of the pistol before, but now you can, so that's cool. Next on the list, loadout and costume menus are now auto-scrolled to select item when open. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but something to do with like when you're viewing your different guns and loadouts and stuff, something has been altered in the way that you scroll through to have a look at stuff. Didn't notice that when I was playing, so I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that. But anyway, next on the list, previously selected vehicle skins will now automatically apply to bought vehicles unless you disable this in settings. So as soon as you've actually set yourself a custom skin, every time you buy a vehicle it's automatically going to come up with that custom skin, which is cool. Definitely something that was needed. Next on the list, so those are everything I've said so far is a newly added addition, and the next few things that I'm going to mention are actually changes rather than additions. So first change, tower respawning weapons now include much more variety, also spawn 2 medkits. So you know, like on the top of every tower, weapons actually spawn there. And it looks like there's going to be a much greater variety in the weapons that spawn there, which is good, and you get a couple of medkits as well now, so that's cool. Next change, custom vehicle colour selection is now saved between games, so that's the vehicle skins again, I guess. So once you've actually chosen a skin, not only will that vehicle skin remain for the rest of the game, but then when you actually go into another round you should still automatically get the same vehicle skin again, I believe is what they're saying there. Right, next change on the list, removed flag vehicle camos. They sucked, nobody used them. I'm not sure what it means by that. Flag vehicle is the spawn truck, is it not? I did not know that they had camos available for them. I've never actually noticed that before. But, you know, I think that's what that means, but yeah. Obviously the camos are really bad, as yeah, I've never seen anyone using them. Right, the next change on the list is actually for RHS servers, and it says vehicle optics are now field repairable with engineer perks. So I've not played that much RHS, but I'm guessing that means that like previously vehicle optics couldn't be repaired, like, you know, when your tanks takes damage and that, it can take out like the commander optics and stuff. So I'm guessing that previously they were not fixable with the engineer perk, but now they are, which is definitely a welcome addition there. Another change to the RHS is that the Abrams loader seat now gets kill assists. So whoever's in the loader seat is now going to get the kill assists as well when the tank gets the kills, which obviously that's something that was needed. Right, but anyway, that seems to be all the changes for RHS, so back onto normal King of the Hill. Another change in the list, spawn vehicles now respawn if sling loaded outside of AO by an enemy helicopter. Right, so the enemy helis can sling load the spawn vehicles. Didn't actually know that. So, but if they actually try to do that now, then the spawn vehicle just respawns back at the safe zone by the look of it, which is cool. Next change on the list, transport planes can now be sold anywhere, not just repair pad. Right, so yeah, that makes sense because landing an aeroplane and being able to get it to the repair pad can be quite difficult in some places. The final change on the list is selling vehicles will now always teleport you back to spawn. That's a good change as well. That's because, like, whenever you sell a vehicle, you're at the repair port, which is actually, you know, sometimes a good 50 meters or so from the actual like spawn in the safe zone, and it can be a bit of a pain having to run that. You know, when you've just driven all the way back to the spawn anyway to sell the vehicle, and now you've got to walk from the from the repair pad back to the spawn. Yeah, that was a bit of a pain, so that's definitely a welcome change as well. And finally on the list, we've got a few fixes. First fix is it says switching sides no longer keeps giving you spawn truck bonuses for delivering spawn truck to AO on old side. So like if you change teams and you were getting points for getting people in the AO, that's still going to keep happening that was still happening when you change teams. You were still getting points for that. They've now stopped that, so if you change teams you can't get the points anymore. So I guess that's like if you change teams and you're still getting points for the enemy getting players into the AO, you're not going to attack the spawn truck or anything. But now that you won't get points for that, you can now go and freely attack the spawn truck because you're not going to miss out on any money there. Next fix, it says music is now preloaded and will always play on time when you win or lose. I actually have the music switched off, so I don't notice that myself, but yep, that's definitely, if there was a problem with the music there, then yeah, that's definitely needed. And the final thing on the list, parachute won't instantly open randomly after jumping out of a plane or helicopter, so sometimes the parachute could just randomly open by itself, but that will no longer happen. But anyway, that's everything that's on the list. Well, I hope you found the information useful. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, hopefully I'll see you next time. Take it easy.